Look, mama, that man got an afro and they dark skin. They gotta be black. That's the Aborigines. I'm black too. I'm an Aborigine too. What to do? This is your brother Bishop of Bishop's on TV. We got to talk about today's episode, which is black folks gatekeeping melanin. You heard me. Let me say it again. Black Americans gatekeeping melanin. Because I feel this is one of the biggest issues when dealing with the Aborigine community. You know, a lot of people, all it takes is just to look at a couple of illustrations, look at a couple of paintings from white explorers and say, well, all you need to do is just look at this painting. Look at this painting. That's evidence enough for me. These people are black. They're black. If you go to Asia, you see the darkest people and the oldest people, they black too. They just like me and you. What about the Indians? Them niggas ain't black. Well, they black too, but they ain't black. Even though they have darker skin than us, but they're not black. They're just as racist as the white man. Now I'm going off a tangent, but I got to drop some science. Because a lot of our people, unfortunately, don't understand how melanin works. A lot of people come with this pseudoscience when it comes to melanin, as if it's some magical power. Oh man, if you just tap into your melanin, you can maneuver the sun across the universe. And for some reason, people believe that these features that we have are attributed solely to us. Therefore, when they see these paintings, on top of the fact that they've been conditioned to hate Africa, to despise Africa, on top of all that, this is one of the reasons why people will look at these paintings and say, that's us, that's me. Thus gatekeeping melanin. But I'm gonna prove to you scientifically, and I know y'all don't like science. Y'all don't like science, y'all don't like common sense, y'all don't like logic. But I'm gonna prove why we are not those people and why melanin does not belong to us. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, what is melanin? Melanin is a natural substance that determines the color of hair, skin, and eyes in people and animals. Special cells called melanocytes make melanin. Everyone has the same number of melanocytes, but some people make more melanin than others. If these cells make just a little melanin, your hair, skin, and eyes can be very light. If your cells make more, then your hair, skin, and eyes will be darker. The amount of melanin your body makes also depends on your genes. If your parents have a certain amount of melanin, you could have the same amount in a similar skin tone. All right, so basically, in layman terms, every human being on the planet and even animals have melanin. Black people just have more of it. And I'm gonna show you why we have more of it. And this is not some wild discovery I made. This is common goddamn sense. This is scientific knowledge. But apparently a lot of people, a large percentage of people, don't follow scientific logic when analyzing these things. So let's break down the science. All right, so this article right here, Why Skin Colors Differ, is brought to you by two prominent figures at the University of Oslo. I like to, present my sources to people instead of just regurgitating information without giving sources, actual sources that you can look these people up and see if they're credible or not. But the two authors of this piece right here is Johan Moen, who is a researcher at the Norwegian Radium Hospital and professor of physics at UIO. He does research on skin cancer, vitamin D, and health in photodynamic therapy. Then we have Asta J, who is a postdoctoral fellow at the Norwegian Radium Hospital. She does research on folate, vitamin D, skin colors, and photodynamic treatment of cancer. So these are credible people that you can actually Google and research yourself. By the way, this university is out of Norway. So let's get into it. Why skin colors differ. Why do some people have dark skin while others have light colored skin? The answer lies in the skin's need for protection against solar radiation and the body's need for vitamin D. The skin is our body's wrapping visible to everyone. Evolution has given us shades of skin color from black to white, optimally adapted for us according to where we live on Earth. Where the sun is strongest, skin color has become darkest, while weak solar radiation gives light skin color. Dark-skinned people need 6 times more sun than white-skinned people to get enough vitamin D. On the other hand, they have less chance of developing skin cancer. Under the African sun. In the beginning, in Africa, we lived in sunny areas with rapid natural changes. Among our walking bipedal ancestors were the Tume, about 7 million years ago from Chad. Then there's the hairy Kenyan, Arti, 4.4 million years, followed by Lucy, 3.3 million years from the Great Rift Valley, and later the Turkana boy, 1.5 million years from the same areas. Many believe that Arti had light skin under her hair, such as chimpanzees have today. Beneath the scorching sun of Africa, the early hominids met 2 challenges: how to keep their brains cool and how to protect their skin against UV radiation. Rapid changes in nature demanded quick adaptation and well-functioning brains, which in turn demanded steady blood temperature. Most of their hair disappeared and sweat glands, which are distinctive to humans, were developed. These, along with blood vessels in the naked skin surface, were easily damaged by the hot sun of the equator, and thus dark skin began to evolve. It is able to withstand 10 times more sun than white skin before the skin burns. Blood contains many vitamin B substances, among them folates, which are best protected in dark skin. Folates are needed in vital processes during cell division. A deficiency of folates, for example, more frequently causes women to give birth to children with spina bifida and causes men to be less fertile. It has been proven that vitamin B substances are particularly sensitive to solar radiation, but other vital substances in the blood can also be broken down by a large amount of sunlight. Dark skin also evolved to protect the blood vessels in the skin as well as the substances in the blood. Human migration can be mapped by examining genes. Some humans migrated eastward from Africa towards Indonesia, continually remaining in the tropics, and kept their dark skin color. Others migrated north. This occurred several times, and each time their skin color became lighter. This happened so that they would be able to get enough vitamin D. White skin needs only 1/6 as much sun as black skin to make enough vitamin D. The sun's effect on health is underscored by the fact that several different mutations have yielded light skin. Light-skinned Asians have other mutations than Europeans have. Dark-skinned immigrants even today encountered the same problem when they came to our unsunny country, which again, their unsunny country is Norway. The seriousness of vitamin D deficiency is revealed by the fact that rickets, the English disease, came in the wake of the Industrial Revolution and was a scorch on cities where there were little sunlight and where children and adults worked indoors and in mines. Up to 80% of the children in the cities became ill. Skin color maintains a balance between vitamin D production and folate breakdown. Generally speaking, skin color owes to a population's group having solar radiation where they live and to the length of time they have lived there. We are able to follow skin color changes during human migration northward towards Eastern Asia, across the Bering Strait and south towards the equator of the American continent. Here, skin color has not yet become completely dark. The 15,000 to 20,000 years that the American Indians have been there is too short a time. Eskimos, which is a derogatory term, we should be saying Inuits, stopped along the way, but kept some of their dark skin color because they ate vitamin D rich seafood. Their diet made completely white skin unnecessary for them to survive. Let me read that part again. Inuits stopped along the way, but kept some of their dark skin color because they ate vitamin D rich seafood. Their diet made completely white skin unnecessary for them to survive. Did you hear that part? Did you hear that part? Let's go to the last couple of paragraphs. Solar radiation darkens the skin in at least 2 ways. As soon as we get out into the sun, the melanin in the skin begins to darken. but it becomes lighter again when we go indoors. The darkening is a result of UVA, or ultraviolet radiation, that is nearly violet in color. And our newest theory is that the purpose is to protect against the breakdown of substances in the blood. Our forefathers in Africa surely had to go out into strong sunlight when they were hunting, and they needed protection quickly. A more permanent protective pigmentation develops over the period of several days after we have been out in the sun. This perhaps has a similar purpose, since it does not protect hereditary material in the skin very well, whereas the skin color we are born with does. Skin color has two balancing effects. Dark skin absorbs most light before it reaches the hereditary material. Africans appear dark while we appear light. But in the area of ultraviolet radiation, the opposite is true. We have recently discovered that UV, which makes vitamin D, is spread and reflected less from light than from dark skin. So evolution has brilliantly arranged that light skin in regions lacking sun absorbs more UV for the production of vitamin than dark skin. This is because pigment grains are more plentiful and larger in black than in white skin, and they are also distributed differently in the layers of the skin. So as you can see, determined by science, melanin is not strictly permitted for Black Americans or anybody with dark skin. White people have melanin too. They just don't have a lot of it. So why do I bring up all of this? Why did I bring up the scientific facts, the scientific information? Because again, a lot of people think on a shallow level. They think on a surface level when it comes to analyzing different groups of people. I was once like that too. I just see anybody who's dark skinned all across the world and instantly label them black. You're black. Even though we all came out of Africa, that took thousands of years of evolution, of mutation. So much so to the point that genetically, we are not the same. There's a clear difference. There's a clear distinction. So that brings me back to the indigenous problem, which is Black Americans now labeling themselves Aborigines. And it's largely because of three reasons. One, because of these depictions, which are nothing more than Europeans' interpretations of a group of people. Let me say that again. These are Europeans interpreting people that they see. So an illustration is not 100% concrete evidence to suggest that, okay, these people without a doubt are me. You don't have any genetic examples. You don't have any scientific examples to back it up. You don't have any archaeological finds to back up any of these claims that you make. So you can't just rest on artist depictions, European artist depictions. Then number two is self-hate. Self-hate towards Africa because of the miseducation of Africa by the hands of Europeans, the descendants of Europeans who oppress these Africans, who enslave these Africans. That has been ingrained in our brains for centuries. So much so to the point where, we don't want to be African. So we rather fantasize about something else. And then number three, because of a lack of information about basic science. Because it should be obvious to most people that people have melanin, have darker melanin based on where they sit below the equator or near the equator. That should be pretty goddamn obvious, especially if you paid attention in school. The public education system is far from the best, but goddamn it, they teach you that shit at least in elementary school. It's been a while since I've been in school, so I wouldn't know. So I have to show pictures since a lot of our people are so fascinated and educated by pictures, like they some goddamn children, because that's all it takes. Oh, look, pictures. You show visual. You show visuals to children to make them understand. But all it takes for grown ass adults to believe that they're indigenous is to show fucking pictures. That's how simple minded a lot of our people are. That's how mentally retarded a lot of our people are, where it takes simply just pictures, illustrations. And I just want to say for the record, it's not just black people too. Americans in general are fucking stupid. And I'm not the smartest person, but goddamn, I got common enough sense to know I can't just draw a conclusion based off of an illustration. Based off an illustration. That's children education 101. But if we just want to go by pictures, let's go by pictures, because a lot of fake Aborigines would like you to think that indigenous people were just light skinned, that the fake indigenous, which are the real indigenous peoples, look more akin to Asians. And so they have lighter skin, when in reality, we have plenty of pictures that show dark skinned indigenous people. Since we like to go by pictures, I'm going to use the picture strategy on them. These indigenous people. These people are not African Americans. If you want to know why there are more lighter skinned indigenous people in America today, in the Americas today, compared to back then, which a lot of these pictures were taken in the 1800s, a lot of that has to do with European admixture in their DNA because of their encounter with European Americans who migrated to America and eventually over time diluted indigenous blood. It's similar to black Americans, which is the problem with black America. We look at a lot of our people today and then make comparisons to indigenous people back in the 1800s, because we use a lot of these pictures from the 1800s and early 1900s to illustrate the point. But the problem with that is black Americans on average has a European admixture of 12% to 20% in our DNA. Of course, that's due to slavery, because European males primarily had access to enslaved African women's bodies. And so, of course, they would sexually exploit these women. You know what I mean? The R word. So a lot of us have a European admixture in our DNA. We can't escape that. It is what it is. And so people are looking at certain people of West and West Central African descent with European admixture and saying, see, we don't look nothing like these Africans over here because we look like them, even though large percentage of black Americans look closer to West Africans and West Central Africans than they do any of these indigenous pictures that they show. But they'll highlight a few instances where you have African Americans, which seems like they have a higher mixture of European admixture, and then they'll compare that to these pictures. But again, this is the point I'm trying to make. A lot of these people use elementary tactics to educate the masses because they're stupid, and I guess they believe you're stupid too, and you will believe that shit. Using pictures to illustrate your point is not a good way to educate the masses. You need science to educate the masses. I'm sorry. You need science in it. I'm not saying the science is the end all be all. You need oral research too. But you need science. And the science does not agree with a lot of these people's theories. They don't agree with a lot of these people's beliefs. Just like religion. Yes, you can believe that a sky daddy walked on water, but you don't see nobody walking on water now. Okay? It's not to be taken literally. And these people, you cannot take these people serious at all. Bottom line is this. So, I know this is not going to change anybody's mind. I know those people are already stuck in their ways, especially the older they are, the harder it will for them to see this logic. But make it make sense. Make it make sense. All right, until next time, holla. Oh, and before I go, for y'all who like to quote Ivan Van Sertima, and these are not the people that claim to be Aborigines, but claim that Africans came here and educated and gave all the knowledge to the Mayans and whatnot. That's false too. Let's stop spreading that lie too. I mean, yeah, no disrespect to Ivan Van Sertima, rest in peace. But That's been debunked. And I might have to go into another video about that in particular. Let's stop appropriating indigenous people's culture. We come from a rich, colorful West African and West Central African culture. We need to embrace that. All right, I'm going for real this time. Holla.